Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of the Hudson Valley Squares. It's Monday night. We are fresh from Fall Fest, and everybody here on the panel was in Poughkeepsie the other night. It was a good time by everybody. And for those of you obviously watching this, probably there are thousands of you who were not at Fall Fest the other day. And I do want to make a special announcement. He didn't find out till Friday night. But Mr. Bryce Sparaza here from Bryce Talks Metal is now an official member of the Hudson Valley
Yeah.
Squares. We're happy to have him. And tonight, I guess, is his official first episode as a regular member. He's been on here before, but tonight is all official. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Woohoo!
Hey, that's a sweet shirt you got there too, Pete.
Yeah, I got some guy gave it to me the other night.
Yeah.
Where can people get said shirt? Do they exist somewhere? It's
I've got a couple left. I ordered them, so if you want one, you can just message me privately and I'll set you up.
cool. There you go.
So,
There you go. So we did a cool in-person show the other day at the Chance where we talked about our kind of like our favorite year in hard rock and metal or music in general, and we all picked different years. And tonight, did anybody pick? Someone had 84, right? Was that you, Chris?
Rob did.
Rob did. Okay.
I think one person. Yeah, Rob did.
Yeah,
Was
one
only
person.
Chris.
So tonight we've never, we do occasionally we do these like favorite albums by year shows, and we like to interject those in every now and then. So we decided to do 1984 tonight. We have not visited 1984 yet. So everybody has picked their 5 favorite albums from 1984. And in case you're watching and you don't know it, 84 was a stacked year for hard rock and metal. This was hard as shit to pick 5.
For sure.
But we've
Yes,
all
it
done
was.
it. I'm sure we got some honorable mentions, and we've got we also have Butch's list for tonight. We have Rob's list for tonight, and we have Nick's list for tonight. So we'll have each person go through, give their 5, and then at the end we'll circle back around for honorable mentions. So let's see who we're going to start with. Steve, we'll go Steve Keeler, Chris Canzaneri, Ryan Scow, Bryce, Chris Allo, and myself, and then we'll scoot around for honorable mentions. So, Mr. Keeler. And Mr.
Okay.
Steve, feel free to talk about all the albums you want to talk about today.
No one's gonna yell at me or
No one's
something.
gonna
Shut
know.
up.
Shut up, Steve. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Scow. You know what? For some reason, I can't hear Scow at all.
You
Can
can't?
anyone else? No, I can't hear you. Maybe your mic.
I hear him.
broke.
Can you hear
That's
this?
too bad.
Can you hear this, Steve? All right, there you
Only
go.
I can't. Only I can't hear him, Bryce. It's
I
an
got you,
inside
got you.
joke. Sorry.
My bad. I'll get it eventually. I'll get it.
All right. So I thought there was gonna be a million people on here tonight. I figured they're gonna pick all the, I'd say, ones I would think they were gonna pick. I have a couple that are like definitely my top 5, but I got a couple that I just want to kind of add to my top 5 that I didn't think anyone would mention. So here we go. Not in any particular order for say, except for number 1, I would say. Manowar released 2 albums that year. I'm going with 1, Hail to England. Well, my tracks I'm picking out from them are Blood of My Enemies, Each Dawn I Die, and Kill with Power are the 3 I picked from that.
Bridge of Death.
All right, you can add Bridge of Death, and
Thank you.
so I picked only 3 though. So anyhow, I'm gonna go with Metal Church, the self-titled album, another album I listened to a shit ton back then, and I still put on once in a while. The self-titled album was Beyond the Black, and the song Metal Church and Battalions. I thought that was their best album, and it's still been untouched by them since then. I do like the dark quite a bit, and I do enjoy a lot of their stuff over the years. But Metal Church, I wanted to make a mention of that. Next in line is Warlock, the German metal outfit, of course. Doro Pesch, who is I consider a friend and has been to the store for an in-store. So I'm going to talk about Burning the Witches, a heavy, heavy album by them, and put them on the map. And I think it's underrated. A lot of people overlook Warlock. And I'm going to go with the opening track, Sign of Satan, which is just a blistering song. And of course, the Metal Racer, which she still includes in her sets to this day. And for the ballad, the total German, like the Scorpions doing these ballads, Without You, I think it's a very great song off that album. The next album I'm going to talk about, and I've been listening to a lot, especially about a year ago. I was really playing this a lot when I was having parties and stuff out back and whatnot. Queensryche, The Warning.
Burning the Witches.
You got Burn the Witches. I don't have any
Yeah,
props
Burning the Witches
tonight.
right there. Awesome fucking album.
So next one on my list is Queensryche, The Warning, I just think that's Queensryche's best album. I do like Operation Mindcrime and of course the EP and a couple of the other early ones, and I stopped listening to them for years until Todd joined the band. Now as a band, I'm looking forward to hearing their new album. But Warning, let's say Enforce, Child of Fire, Prophecy. I think the 3 blistering songs that are just great on that album. And my number 1 is Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath. I looked at that album and man, I bought that thing sight unseen at the store. Of course, I had Melissa already, and you just couldn't wait to get that back in the day. And Dangerous Meeting, Come to the Sabbath. Such a great album. And luckily, we're going to get to see Merciful Fate in a few weeks.
That's right.
They're coming here to Brooklyn, New York with Creator and Midnight. So that's going to be a great at King's Theater, which is a great venue to see King Diamond since it's named after him. And of course, we have some honorable mentions. Of course, some of the ones that I would have picked for top 5 usually that I did not add just as I wanted to switch it up a little bit because I figured everybody was going to like the same couple albums.
Cool.
All right, I'm done. You can interrupt me now, Scal. Now I can hear you again. I turned Scal on again.
You are work that way, but
Chris, someone made a comment to me yesterday at lunch. I think it was Jamie Laszlo. You came up in conversation and he's like, Chris looked like he was ready to leave the chance and go out into the woods and shoot a deer with his bow and arrow.
Really?
I guess it was the shirt. I guess it was the jacket you were wearing or something.
I don't know. It's my Beach Boys flannel shirt. I don't know, man. But no, I didn't do that. I was going to go hunting Sunday morning, but it was too windy and cold, and I put it out. But anyway, yeah, he said something like that, or Baki. Baki's like,
it was one of the two of them. I don't remember which one said it. It was one.
They were both
sitting next to me yesterday at the warehouse. So
well, if you follow Christian on Facebook, he does go out in the woods walking around a lot. So maybe that's why I thought it. Huh?
Yeah, I'm always hunting for mushrooms or piece of white something. But anyway, speaking of SOT Fest and those guys, it was great to meet everybody. It was really cool to fucking see fans and other panel members and personalities, and so awesome, man. I hope we can get together and do something like that again. So anyway, my list. All right. My number 5 could have been an honorable, but I decided to slip it in. Not necessarily a heavy album, but it was a big album that year, and I'm not ashamed to admit I played the living hell out of it, and that's Prince's Purple Rain, which my buddy bought, and I was like, why did you buy this? And then when we sat down and listened to it, like, I kind of dig this. And sort of listened to, a lot of different shit that I never would have checked out because of that album. So I'm putting it on this list. Number 4, I'm going with March of the Saint by Armored Saint. Killer album. I don't hear people talking too much about them these days, even though they're still active, right? They're around, they're doing stuff.
Yeah, they're touring with Wasp in November.
Yes, yes.
But killer album. Love it. Number 3, I went with Metal Church, just like Steve. Can't deny that album. I also chose Don't Break the Oath, but my number 1 hasn't appeared yet, and I'm sure it will many times. I went with Ride the Lightning. I think it's the best Metallica album, and it features the best Metallica song, which is Creeping Death. There can be no argument. That's the best Metallica song, in my opinion. But yeah, Ride the Lightning, number 1. And I got a few honorables, and I bet they're all going to get by some. So we'll see if they survive the round here.
We'll see.
Like I said earlier, though, if we all pick the same stuff, it means we all have good taste.
That is true.
Good albums, though. I mean, everybody listen to the same stuff together.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, and then you got Nick's picks as well.
I do. So I'll go with mine first. So, man, when you said 1984, I know when we did it, the live panel, I picked 85. But man, listing albums for 84, I think I'll change my vote. This might be my favorite year in metal. So I started writing down albums, and before I knew it, I was up to like 50 fucking albums without even like looking at Google. Just like, oh, that was 84. That was 84. And I I know they kind of fell. I'll just say real quick, they kind of fell into three broad categories for me, kind of like looking at everything. A lot of really good, well-known bands put out albums that year that some of them have mentioned so far. I'm sure some are coming up. If you made a list completely out of those albums, like Ride the Lightning, for example, stuff like that, you'd be totally well within your rights. Great stuff. Obviously, he's a big fan of black metal and death metal. A lot of the really early stuff that kind of started those genres came out in 1984. And I didn't even realize it until I got the list going, but a lot of good, even a little more obscure, some not, American heavy metal albums came out that year. So speaking of American heavy metal albums, I'll start my list off with a classic for me with some awesome fucking artwork, and that is Cirith Ungol.
Yeah.
King of the
Nice.
Dead. And that artwork is just fucking awesome. I've
Yeah, it
seen them a
is.
couple times. I was lucky to see them a couple of weeks ago up in Providence, Rhode Island. They played a little festival that was an offshoot of Necronomicon, H.P. Lovecraft thing. I didn't go to the con, but I did go up just to see them, and they were awesome. So this is just a great album. Just like classic heavy metal, little doom. They started in 72, so it has like a good like Black Sabbathy 70s vibe to it, but a lot of swords and sorcery. So my number 4, I'm gonna pull. All right, everyone, need everybody to step back. I'm gonna pull a full keeler here. Yeah, full keeler. All right, Steve. So what am I doing? I'm gonna shoehorn 3 albums into one pick, and the reason I'm doing that. Oh,
That's not allowed. That's not
foul ball. You know.
Stop.
Well, the reason I'm doing that is because I would say the exact same thing about all 3. Being a huge fan of black metal and death metal, 3 things came out that year. What's up, Steve?
Does one have a goat on the cover?
There might be some goats involved.
All right, good.
Calm down. We'll get to your goats. Yeah, so it's 2 EPs and an album. But yeah, being a huge fan of black metal, huge fan of death metal, these 3 releases are like foundational, fundamental stuff. Like before this came out, you really just had Venom, and if you want to count the first Slayer album, now there wasn't really much else in that world. But then these releases came out that year, and they kickstarted. I think every black and death metal band since kind of like gives like proper reverence to these guys. So the first one is from Sweden. It is the self-titled Bathory album, and I got the cool one with the Obi strip there. So there's your fucking
Nice.
coat, Steve. Yeah,
I knew he was coming.
Bathory. This album kicks ass. Moving right along. This is an EP. I would say the same thing about it. Black metal and death metal bands love this, and talk about it to this day. Still cover songs. Huge influence, and that is Hellhammer, Apocalyptic Raids. And then these guys broke up. This came out, I think, in April or March 1984.
It was one of those first couple months, yeah.
First couple months. So these guys broke up, reformed the band, and came back as Celtic Frost and released Morbid Tales later in that year, I think November. So you could smash those 2 EPs together. But yeah, in all 3 cases, this stuff is just, black and death metal would sound totally different if it wasn't for like Darkthrone, who I love, is basically based their career on ripping off Hellhammer and Celtic Frost, for better or worse. My number 3, I'm going to go to another American heavy metal band, probably my favorite I'd say my favorite American heavy metal band. And this was their, I'm going to say they put out some of the early albums that kind of get mixed up, and they put out an album, they recorded an album, they didn't release it years later. So I think it's their 4th album, but don't quote me on that. But I think it is one of their best, and that is Open the Gates by Manila Road. Again, fucking awesome artwork. I saw them something like 15 times, and they played a lot of songs on this album live. The title track, The Ninth Wave, Road of Kings, Witches Brew Heavy Metal to the World. I don't know. This album kicks ass. If you like old school classic heavy metal, you don't know Manila Road, you don't have Open the Gates, check it out.
I think you are correct. I think that is their 4th.
I think so. You're probably right. Because I know there's a lost album in there, Mark of the Beast. But anyways, second album, it's been mentioned, but it's fucking classic, so I have to mention it. And that's Don't Break the Oath. I had to drag that out because, man, all these albums, the artwork is just great. And this is another case. Just really killer artwork. Melissa's a great album, but this one's probably my favorite. I was lucky to see them a couple months ago in Norway, and obviously they're touring the U.S. soon, so I'm seeing them again twice. And my number 1 pick is probably no surprise. On some days, they're my favorite band of all time. I didn't pick the album that year from my other number one favorite band of all time, because I figured it'd get mentioned a lot. And like Steve, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. But I talk about this band a lot anyway, so fuck that. And that is War and Pain by Voivod. Another great album cover. And this is just a dirty, dirty fucking album. It's like a little punk rock, a little Motorhead, a little Discharge, a little Venom. I know Slayer was a new band, but they were already listening to Slayer, so that probably got worked in there, a little Show No Mercy. But yeah, I listen to the shit out of this all the time, still do. And the honorable mention list would be 8 Miles Long, so we'll come back to that. But as for Nick's picks, Nick, I had the badger all day. I'm like, Nick, if you don't give me your list, I'm gonna start listing off albums, which I'm going to substitute for you. And one of them I said was Like a Virgin by Madonna. And then we got into a long discussion about our favorite Madonna songs. Of course, we listen to Madonna like
Borderline.
Yeah, shut up, Steve.
I didn't say it. Chris did.
I said it.
Oh.
Borderline.
Yeah,
I love that song.
I don't want to sidebar you here too much, but our two songs, our number 1 and 2 was La Isla Bonita and Open Your Heart. Those were the
man.
So touching.
That's the Candy Ass Madonna. I was going old school Madonna.
No, those are old. I mean, mid 80s, not early 80s.
Dude, I don't know. Just fucking. I like Madonna, but like only like the fucking Like a Virgin, but the demos, like the unrecorded shit.
Stuff that no one's heard, not even her.
I'll take her Bond theme, Die Another Day.
There we go.
I don't think I ever heard that one, Steve. But
Really?
yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen all those movies.
Die Another Day.
They made so many fucking James Bond movies. I don't even know. After the Pierce Brosnan era, I just kind of checked out.
That was a Pierce Brosnan movie.
Was it? See, I don't even know. Then I should say after the Roger Moore era, I don't even really pay attention anymore.
Yeah, it's still cool.
I'm sure they are. So for Nick's picks, he went with an album which I forgot was 1984 until he mentioned it. So shame on me. I'm sure it might be on Chris's list, but that's At War with Satan by fucking Venom. He also picked the first Bathory album. Also picked Don't Break the Oath because the man has great taste. Also picked Ride the Lightning, my favorite Metallica album too, which I didn't pick because I figured again, mix it up a little bit. And he picked fucking Power Slave, which is my other favorite band. But I also didn't want to mention that, just to mix it up. But you can't go wrong, with Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Back in the Village, title track, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. So and he's got a couple honorables too, but we'll come back to that.
Cool. Right.
All right. So before I get to my picks, I want to give Nick another shout out here. He gifted me this, which is, it doesn't have anything to do with 1984, but my favorite band. It's a frame picture signed by the whole band from the Rust era, which is my favorite album. So nice. Nick, you're amazing, dude. Appreciate that. But my number 5, I'm going to go with Burning Star by the band Hellstar. Really cool U.S. band again. They're from Houston, and I actually got to see them earlier this year at the Hell's Heroes Festival. Ryan was there. They still sound amazing. James Rivera, their vocalist, he's up there with, the Midnights, the Lizzie Bordens, the Jeff Tates, those guys that can hit those high screams. And he does it so much on this album. It's super impressive, just randomly, multiple times throughout the song, and it's really cool. But some of the standout tracks, I'd probably go with the title track, of course, Towards the Unknown, and Possession. But that's an amazing album. So anyone who hasn't heard it, please check it out. Number 4, Don't Break the Oath. It's been picked a couple of times, but it's got to be there. Classic stuff. I think Kim Ruz actually is a pretty underappreciated drummer that was on those first couple of albums. Some really cool, intricate stuff he was doing. King Diamond, of course, is a fantastic singer and another guy that hits the high notes like crazy. And I saw Merciful Fate actually in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and it was an amazing show. They opened with The Oath, which is maybe my favorite song by them. Super evil. It's got the whole creepy intro thing, and they break into that riff. It's so good. Number 3, I'm going to go with Defenders of the Faith, Judas Priest. I've got the shirt, got a cassette tape of it. And this was actually my 4th show, not back in the day, but the 40th, or it was the 30th anniversary in 2014. My parents took me for my 18th birthday, which was pretty cool. They were doing the Redeemer of Souls tour blended with the 30th anniversary. So they played a couple more songs from this album that they don't usually play, I think. Trying to think back. They played...
I think they did Love Bites.
They did Love Bites. Did they do the Sentinel? Probably did the Sentinel.
Yeah.
And Free Will Burning, I'd imagine. But
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, Free Will Burning is amazing. really all these songs are great. Rob, Glenn, and KK, you could say, you know, best guitar duo maybe, and maybe best vocalist in metal. My number 2, I'm gonna go with Wasp. So I've got, this doesn't really have anything to do with the album. I guess it's the first single. I got removed from the album.
I was
Animal.
gonna say, yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, it would have been on the album. They took it off the PMRC. Those assholes, you know, it got put on the Filthy 15, and then, you know, the album is amazing. Opens with "I Want to Be Somebody." I love Blackie Lawless. He is maybe he's like got one of the most unique voices, I'd say. He always constructs his vocal melodies so cool, very catchy. You know, the guitar duo on here, Piper and Holmes, such amazing tone. The riffs all over this. I really, sometimes like thrash fans and whoever else will kind of dog on like Wasp or bands like that. Like I really don't get that at all. Especially Wasp. Wasp is heavy, really just classic heavy metal. And Tony Richards on the drums. But as I said, "I Want to Be Somebody's" great. Love Machine. The Torture Never Stops is probably my favorite one on here. And Hellion, even Sleeping in the Fire, it's kind of slow. I don't know if I'd call it a ballad. It's a really dark song and it builds up, has a really epic guitar solo. And my number 1, which is actually the first album I ever bought, when I was like probably 8 or 9 years old on CD, and that is "Out of the Cellar" by Rat.
Wow.
This is in my top 10. This and the Wasp album are both in my top 10 all time, but I've previously listed this as the best metal debut album. This is another band. People are like, "Oh, it's not metal" sometimes, and I 100% think they're classic twin guitar metal band. Warren DeMartini and Robin Crosby. Just that tone is so sharp and amazing. Stephen Pearcy has a great voice, so really distinctive voice he has. Bobby Blotzer on the drums, and I already said Robin Crosby, and freaking Juan Crocier on bass. But looking at these songs, "Wanted Man" to open it up is fantastic. "Back for More," "Lack of Communication," "I'm Insane," "Round and Round." I remember I used to watch Metal Mayhem is what I watched. It's basically like Headbangers Ball, but without Ricky Rackman doing interviews. I always love seeing the "Round and Round" music video. That solo trading off between Robin and Warren is so epic and awesome. But yeah, that is my number 1, "Out of the Cellar." So yeah.
I guess now that Bryce is a full-time member of the show, I guess we've got to watch what we say about Blackie Lawless going forward.
Yeah, Blackie's the man, dude.
What's wrong with Wasp? I fucking love Wasp.
Who said bad things?
I love
about
Blackie.
We've said a little bit of shit about Blackie.
I mean, I interviewed him. He was a total asshole.
Yeah,
That's separate, you know.
That is separate from his music.
That's their top 5 band of all time for me. So
That's cool.
That's cool.
I got to see him way back in the day, Bryce.
yeah,
Yeah, me too.
I'm jealous. I'll be there front and center when they come to Atlanta. So
Cool.
yeah.
Is he doing certain songs that he wouldn't do a few years ago due to his religious
He said
was
that
debatable.
He said that in an interview with, I think, Eddie Trunk, that he is open. He said he thinks he made his point or whatever, and I think he's open to playing Animal, which they've done some festivals recently. I haven't checked the most recent set. Yeah, I haven't
saw
checked the most
Bryce,
recent.
I didn't see it in the set list.
It wasn't? Okay.
At least the opening night, they did not have Animal, and afterwards I was like, "Oh fuck it, whatever." I've already seen them doing it, so whatever.
Yeah.
For Bryce's sake,
I love all their songs. So it's cool.
I assume this is your first time seeing them, Bryce.
Yep.
Okay, for your sake, I hope they do it. But for me, I don't give a fuck.
I love most of the songs, so any set list I'll be happy with, honestly.
Are they playing with Armored Saint down by you as well?
Yep, they are.
Yeah. He bleeps like a beast.
Yeah.
He bleeps like a beast.
They're actually doing a handful of shows. It's Armored Saint and Wasp, but then it's a couple that are Wasp and Michael Schenker.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's an interesting.
That's
thing.
only like in the center of the country, like the way
Yeah.
their tours are crossing. It's like Texas and Oklahoma, and Texas, I think. But, yeah.
I hope they do some stuff from Headless Children.
Yeah.
Me. That's me.
Great
Also,
album.
didn't do anything from that shitty album when he was an asshole to me. I think it was like the Neon God or something like that. I think that's what it was called.
You're not supposed to talk bad about him now.
Yeah.
He's a
I
very
can say
nice
whatever I
fellow.
want. He's not paying my bills, so fuck him.
He's not. Wait a minute. He's not helping pay your electric.
He's not
bill?
paying Chris's
Wow.
electric bill. He can fuck off. That's it.
Yeah, Chris Holmes is practically dying, and he could use some fucking money. So
All right, Chris Allen. Chris has Rob Lasante's picks as well.
all right, Rob's got some good ones. Good job, Rob. Except
Boom.
one of them, which is I guess is good, but I don't like him anymore. That's Metallica, Ride the Lightning. That was the only one that I was not under consideration on my list, but I guess it is a good record.
Oh, it's a great record.
Rob also had Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith, Iron Maiden, Power Slave, Dio's Last in Line, and Queensryche's The Warning. Those are all solid picks.
Oh yeah,
from Rob. 5-star classics for sure. I mean, yeah, as everybody said, 1984. Holy shit! It really was an amazing year. I mean, for me personally, it was an amazing year because it was one of the first years where I was really into metal, and man, I was just a fucking sponge, just soaking up everything and getting anything I could get my hands on. I guess on the bottom of my list, nobody mentioned this, and I'm shocked. Probably because it's only an EP and it's only 3 songs. But man, these 3 songs are gold, including my personal all-time favorite song from this band, Slayer, "Haunting the Chapel."
Yeah, that was coming. Nice.
I mean, all 3 songs are great. "Chemical Warfare," "Captor of Sin," and my personal favorite song, "Haunting the Chapel," the title track. But yeah, it's great, and they definitely went in a faster, harder direction. Another EP, which I have 4 copies of. I grabbed 2 copies from my garage, and somehow from my garage to my bedroom, I lost them. Ryan mentioned them. Morbid Tales from Celtic Frost, just an amazing, groundbreaking work.
Fuck yeah, the best.
I have the vinyl version, which I couldn't find, autographed by Martin Erickine and Tom G. Warrior when I interviewed them in New York City, but I don't know what the fuck I did with it. So,
yeah, I've offered Chris help organizing his garage, his collection, but he just
a gargantuan
task on it.
It is a terrible, terrible task. Maybe next time there's an SOT fest, I could just rope a couple guys who are really nice, like all those nice people I met this weekend, and I could just rope them in and feed them pizza to help me organize shit.
Yeah, they would do it. A lot of them stayed in the area for an extra couple days, so
I have to do that.
Like, how do you feel about getting drunk and alphabetizing shit? That you lined up.
Maybe I'll have them appetize and then get them drunk. But yeah, it's bad. And in my old age, I'm like, fuck, I gotta get rid of shit. I keep saying Pete is an inspiration because he does get rid of stuff a lot. Like, I'm really at the point where I gotta get rid of stuff. I got no more room, so
I'll take it.
But not this stuff. No, yeah,
I can have it. Just drop it off in front of the door.
Sure.
I'll put up a Toys for Tots box or something.
I was thinking of you before, Steve, when I found that Overkill EP I bought from you from what the hell is
the one that's worth no money now, right?
Yeah, I mean, Steve sold them to me for cheap, like $10 in like.
Well, when it was new, it was $10.
Yeah, now it's worth a whole bunch. But anyway, yeah, that stuff I'm keeping. All right, everybody mentioned this. Oh yeah, and me and Ryan and Bryce and Nick are going to see Triptychon do an oldies Celtic Frost set where they're playing nothing but stuff from Morbid Tales and to Mega Theater. So that
next Hell's Heroes. Now Hell's Heroes 2023 in Houston, Texas.
Wow,
a lot of cool bands are going to be there.
Razor and Possessed, and
Skull Fist, man, Skull Fist.
And Tower. And I'm getting pretty old for these things, Pete. But once I saw Triptychon playing a Frost set of only material from the first 2 records, that took me about 60 seconds to hit buy tape.
And not even when you say first 2, not even Pandemonium. I think it's just Morbid Tales, Emperor's Return, into Megatherion. Like,
right, yes,
the OG
right.
Shit. So yeah, it's gonna be fucking circle pit fucking orama.
Yeah, sure. So that's dream stuff for sure.
I wonder if they're asking Reed to go fly down there and play a couple tunes with them, because I know
that would be cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I mean,
super cool.
Usually it's just Triptychon. Like, even when we saw, the Triumph of Death, the Hellhammer band at Maryland Death Fest, it was, just Tom and Triptychon playing Hellhammer songs, and it was fucking awesome. But yeah, they didn't really mix up the lineup too much.
Yeah, but who knows? We'll see.
We'll find out.
As everybody mentioned, Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath. I think personally, I like Melissa a nose hair better, but they're both masterpieces, and yet we're seeing them in November in the King's Theater in Brooklyn. This one was a given for me. This is Glenn Danzig's first post Misfits record, Initium, the first Samhain record. It's sort of like a mix of the horror punk from the Misfits and more like a death rock band. But I really dig it. And my favorite record, I think, from 1984. And I'm seeing an offshoot of this band. Venom's At War with Satan. This is my gatefold copy signed by Mantis and Abaddon. And I'm seeing Venom Inc. At the end of the month. And Pete and I did a Venom ranking episode fairly recently, and yeah, that was my favorite Venom record.
Yeah, the new Venom Inc. album is out, and I have my copy on the way. So
Which I gotta say, Pete, I only listened to it like 3 times. New record is "There's Only Black" on Nuclear Blast Records. I really liked it.
Good. Okay, I liked the last one.
I liked Ave, but I think this record's even better.
Wow,
Oh, cool. I love seeing them live, man.
They killed
Tony's
it.
a great front man. You know, Mantis is fucking Mantis. No, I thought they were great. They're a good band.
Yeah.
I should have mine soon. So there'll be a review here on the channel in like a week or two.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I got Butch's picks here. So he says, and these are in no real order. And I think if you know Butch, none of these should be a surprise. The first Icon album, self-titled Icon. Anthrax, Fistful of Metal. TNT, Knights of the Thunder. Great album. Power Slave by Iron Maiden. And Wasp, first album. So those are Butch's picks. All right, mine. There's going to be some overlap here with other folks. My number 5 is the self-titled debut from Metal Church. Still my favorite Metal Church album. I really like a lot of their albums. A lot.
Same. Great album.
Still, it's probably their heaviest album. It's part of it's kind of thrashy, part of it's just great American heavy metal. I don't know, you call it early power metal, whatever, but production's great. Man, those first 2 songs, that's like the 2 of the best kickoff tracks on any album. Gods of Wrath is terrific. It's, for a slower paced tune, it's great. Battalions, man, it's just awesome stuff. My number 4, and let me just say, this was really hard picking 5 because my honorable mention list, I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, God, I feel so bad about leaving some of these off because they're great albums. But I just, after a while, I just had to pick 5 of them and just be happy with it. So we're going to go Last in Line by Dio.
Yeah.
I prefer Holy Diver by a little bit, but this is still a killer album and easily the second best Dio album ever. I mean, We Rock, terrific title track, terrific. Evil Eyes, I Speed at Night.
I Speed at Night. That song fucking rules.
Great stuff. Yeah, great stuff. Really great. I'm going to go number 3. I'm going to go with Power Slave. Yeah, this is a drop dead Maiden classic. So good, so epic. I think for me, this is probably the album where Maiden really got the whole, we want to do epic metal in their heads and in their hearts. And they haven't looked back since, really, right? So great stuff. So all sorts of great songs. Number 2 could have even been number 1. It's amazing. Both Ryan and Chris mentioned that one prefers this one over the debut Melissa. One prefers Melissa over this one. I go back and forth between whether this or Melissa is my favorite Merciful Fate. And I got to say, I really love a lot of the Merciful Fate albums that came afterwards as well. Like a lot. In the Shadows is
awesome. Great. I love that 9 record.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
They're all really good.
Time
is not a clunker in that discography. And
very overlooked.
Amazing how, for some of us on this call, we grew up with this album and Melissa. So it's like, I think we're by default, we always pick one of these 2 as our favorite Merciful Fate. But you know what? If I was Bryce's age and I didn't grow up with this or Melissa and I heard In the Shadows or 9 or any of those other albums, any of them could easily be my favorite Merciful.
That's what we did that ranking a while back, and I had Time at number 1, and that was like your bottom 1 or something. I was like,
but it's still great, right?
Yeah, it's still great.
A great record. Yeah,
those albums are good. The Bell Witch, good fucking song, man.
Oh yeah,
good album.
But there are days that this is my favorite. There are days that it's Melissa. I usually go with Melissa, but man, I was listening to this today, and I'm just like, oh, it's so good. And I remember the day I brought this home. I bought this from Rock and Roll Heaven. This was right before Steve opened up his store. Bringing it home, and this album scared the shit out of me, but I couldn't stop listening to it, because I never heard anything like this before. So that's my number 2. My number 1 has not been mentioned by anybody today. Not surprising.
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff in 1984, but this album and this band are really, really special to me. And it has become in the last couple of years probably my favorite album from this band. Slide It In from Whitesnake.
Wow.
John Sykes, David Coverdale, Mel Galley, John Lord, Cozy Powell, Neil Murray. Yeah, love it. It's one of my favorite albums. So that's my number 1.
I'm going to say, now that we're done, we can go back to honorable mentions. The one album that I thought someone was going to pick and nobody did was fucking Perfect Strangers. Surprised that didn't make any top 5 list. I'm sure it'll be in the honorables.
It's
but
on my honorable mentions, and
Okay.
in fact, I thought of it even more when he brought up Whitesnake.
Yeah, I'm like, man,
It's kind of
someone's
those
gonna
two
mention Perfect
bands,
Strangers.
you know.
I felt like I was betraying them because everybody knows Deep Purple's one of my favorite.
Yeah,
all-time
what's
bands.
up with that, man?
And
You
I was
go
like,
on.
but I will tell you, the Perfect Strangers over time, I don't love as much as I used to back in the day. Like if we did this 30, 35 years ago, it would easily be in my top 5. I still really like Perfect Strangers a lot, but it's not one of my upper echelon Purple albums. I don't know, for whatever reason, it hasn't aged as well with me.
Back then, we were starving for Deep Purple music.
Oh, Chris, absolutely. That's 100%. 100%.
Who saw that tour at the Meadowlands Arena? Yeah, I was there.
That was great, wasn't it?
Yeah. Who do you remember who played with him?
Girl School.
Oh, let's tell you, even cooler.
Yeah.
I was there that day with a good buddy of mine from high school, the one that listened to Deep Purple. He talked about and the 8-track tapes the guy that had made in Europe, where he's like, hey, Deep Purple's getting back together. Let's get tickets. We were way up in the nosebleed somewhere. I remember the night still. Remember getting the jersey and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
you know how I heard about all that? Because again, we talk about this all the time. There was no internet back then, right? So usually you heard about all this shit way after the fact. And I remember buying the brand new issue of Kerrang magazine. I had just gone to college because I think they announced this in like September of '84.
Yeah.
And I remember getting Kerrang, and they were on the cover. The whole reunion thing was set, and I was so stoked. I mean, just like, and of course they announced the tour. I bought the tickets, so that was in early '85, and yeah, just it was a big deal back then, really big deal.
Oh, sure it was.
Yeah. All right, Steve, you got honorable mentions?
I do, and can I plug something that I'm doing here locally? Maybe people
Yes,
get
indeed.
people out.
Yes.
So last few weeks have been very exciting for me. I've been over to this place almost every day working. We have actually Quinn's Pins in Middletown, where we've done our anniversary parties in the past with once a year. We built a stage. One of my guys that works in the shop is over there, painted it today, got it ready. We're gonna have a room with our pinball machines there. Our first show is this week. All these shows are free too. They're all Friday nights. This week we have Last Pharaoh headlining with local bands 71 Super Creep, Project Insanity, and there's going to be some surprises that night. Ron Toth from Last Pharaoh is going to open up. It's free to get in. It's Friday night, and we're trying to make this place into a nice hangout. We also have October 28th, I believe, which is a Friday night, where we have Tower from Brooklyn, who's playing the Hell's Heroes in Texas, a phenomenal band, along with Heavy Temple and Sun Voyager. And those are our October ones. We also have a Black Friday show, which I can announce has Morpheus Ascends, The Return to Middletown, New York, along with All Out War. And we hope the building is still standing after this. We also have Sick Bay. We have Winter Nights, whom people may be familiar, that play New York City all the time. And Necroptic Engorgement should be on that bill. And one of my honorable mentions is Power Slave, and I will plug the Glow in the Dark Super 7 Power Slave toy. So honorable mentions is Bathory for me. Scorpions, Love at First Sting, that no one has mentioned yet. Perfect Stranger, See You in Hell, Steve Grimmett, rest in peace. Great friend to the channel and my channel, and over the pandemic we had him on a couple times. Priest Defenders, and I guess Metallica Ride. I think I'm like Chris, I don't listen to Metallica much, but when I do, those early albums are still great, and I think that's could be their finest hour, other than maybe Kill 'Em All back and forth. I had Twisted Sister Stay Hungry written down because I listened to that a ton back in those days. Another band I haven't listened to in years.
You gotta burn in hell, Steve.
Yeah, you gotta
I'm
see.
just kidding. That's a great song.
And Dimmu Borgir covered it pretty well several years back too. And I guess that's probably it on my end. But I hope people come out if you're in the Orange County area. Take a ride to Middletown. These are free shows. Beers are like $3.50. It's not like New York City.
Wow.
Jack Daniel's shots are $4. We're having drink specials. There's a bowling alley, so you can go bowling. You got great award-winning like food, like chicken wings and stuff like that. So we're trying to make this into a hangout. Chris Allo's going to be there for the Halloween show. I know
Yep,
this.
I will be there.
Yeah, we're going to get him a chair. We're going to get him some chicken wings. We're going to get him all set up for that one.
Chicken wings. Sign me the fuck up.
This sounds pretty good, Steve.
Hey,
Hey, I will say, for those of you who have not listened to Heavy Temple, they are awesome. Do not miss this band. They are so good. Female fronted doom band. Oh, they're so good. So
And Rose Gordon, who works for me, is my manager during the weeks and my number one employee at the moment. That works almost 4 or 5 days a week. She picked that on our thing last year for her best album of the year.
good for her.
And she yelled at me because I never probably picked up and listened to it till I got involved with them possibly playing the EQ Fest we did.
Steve, I only heard it for the first time like a month ago.
I can't stop listening to
year
that.
too.
Can't stop. And Tower, another band I just discovered. I
Tower's
thought
great
they're
band.
amazing.
Yeah, they're really good.
I saw them at St. Vitus probably like
Tower.
years ago. Yeah, they were good. They were real good.
Kind of
I don't even
remind
remember
I picked Warlock Burning the Witches. Some of their stuff reminds me of Doro in that era.
that. I could see that.
Yeah. So anyhow, hopefully come out and see us. Support some rock and roll and heavy metal in Orange County. We had Pete's show last week. Now it's my turn this week, and hopefully me and Pete can do something over there at this place coming up down the road.
Yep.
I will do a Sea of Tranquility Rock Fantasy holiday party. So
Sounds good to me. We'll make it happen.
Mhm.
All right, Chris.
maybe
what do you got?
maybe we'll invite Scal.
Oh, that'd be very nice of you, Steve.
Maybe.
No.
We'll see how nice he
I'll
is.
party crash. I'll show up. Don't worry. I got you.
All right, honorables. Let's see. I had Slide It In. I had Power Slave. I had Defenders of the Faith. I had The Warning. I also had Psalm 9 from Trouble.
Oh yeah.
And one that I really thought would get mentioned but hasn't is Yngwie Malmsteen, Rising Force.
It's on my honorable list. Yep.
Yep, I saw that tour that year.
Me too. That's one of the first bands that are like guys I got in on the ground floor on that one. Were you at that one at the Civic Center, Pete?
I was.
That was a crazy show.
That was. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. All right.
We had third row seats on that one, and everybody started standing on the backs of the chairs, and the whole row of chairs went down. And it was like, nobody moshed then, but boy, everybody trying to get back the fuck up after we all ate shit in the middle of the show was fun to watch. Not fun to be a part of.
I think I saw that same tour at the Capitol Theater in Passaic.
Yeah, Yngwie was right at the top of the world at that point, man. He was shooting up pretty quick.
Now he's in Sugarloaf.
Yeah,
Oof.
You win some, you lose some.
that's right. Ryan, you got any? I'm sure you
I
do.
got a lot, but I'll just go through a few. So Chris mentioned it. I should have put it on my list because honestly, it's probably my favorite fucking EP of all time. But whatever. Hunting the fucking Chapel. You put a gun to my head, pick your favorite metal song of all time. A lot of days, it's probably Chemical Warfare. I don't know. It's evil. It's perfect. Lombardo switched out his single kick for a double kick. Made metal history by up. Songs got a lot faster, a lot darker, a lot heavier. I was talking about albums and bands that are a huge influence on black and death metal. This is a big one. And right on that terms, another great EP from that year was Sentence of Death by Destruction, their first EP, the German band.
Yeah.
And probably their darkest, most evil and heaviest too. Like their first couple, like Infernal Overkill, still pretty dark, but that Sentence of Death EP is, you could tell that was a huge influence on a lot of black metal. Psalm 9 by Trouble, another great American heavy metal album. We'll go over to England for a second, pick some new wave of British heavy metal. Honor and Blood by Tank. Always one of my favorite new wave bands, a little more Motorheadish. Venom, a little dirtier sound, a little punk rock in there. This some days is my favorite Tank album. I mean, it's just again, a great fucking cover art from back then. I need to get this on vinyl one day because that's awesome cover art. I didn't feel like grabbing off the shelf because the J's are all the way over there in the distance. But Ample Destruction by Jag Panzer, another great American heavy metal album from that year to debut. Harry Conklin's vocals, legendary. Speaking of great American heavy metal with good vocals, artwork's a little silly, but I love it. Got it on a t-shirt, got it on CD, got it on tape, got it on vinyl. I fucking love it. Battle Cry by Omen.
Nice.
And JD Kimball, unfortunately, passed away a while ago. And this band kind of got silly and lost the plot. But the first couple albums and first EP, Nightmare, are good. But man, this first album is just, every song is a fucking classic. This is on Metal Blade. Yeah, if you like Manila Road, you like Sierra Dungle, old Queensryche, like that old classic heavy metal. You don't know Omen, man, check these guys out. What else did I have here? You know, you guys mentioned Wasp, obviously that's great. Metal Inquisition by Pile Driver. I know that was one of those bands is it a joke band? What's going on? I don't give a fuck. I think it's a great album. It's kind of dirty, a little Motorhead-ish. They were from Canada. I'm not sure where in Canada. I don't know if it was Toronto or Ottawa, but yeah, Pile Driver were great. You know, Steve mentioned them. 2 Manowar albums, Hail to England and Sign of the Hammer, both great. So I could keep going all day, but I'll go to Nick's picks because that's easy. So Nick picked War and Pain on his honorable mention. Should have been on the main list. Fuck you, Nick. That's all right. Morbid Tales, Celtic Frost Rule, Haunting the Chapel. The first Wasp album, because again, you guys are all right on the nose with that one. That Wasp album rules. And both Manowar albums from that year, Hail to England, Sign of the Hammer. So that boy's got good taste. That's what Nick's got.
Cool. Right.
Well, one that was really close for me that no one's mentioned is Tooth and Nail by Dokken.
Yes.
Love it. George Lynch is a god on guitar. How about some Diamond Daryl with Projects in the Jungle, their second album, 1984 there. You know, it's people hate on their glam era stuff. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people act like. Of course, they got a little bit better, of course, but yeah, that's not a bad album.
You just put a smile on Rich Catino's face.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
for
yes.
sure.
Is asking right now, you think they're ever going to release those again?
Yeah.
No, Rich, they're not.
And they won't.
No.
They
No,
should.
and now that there's a Pantera again, no, Rich, it's not happening. Sorry.
Never. Go buy a bootleg.
That's it.
Yeah, but Jamie Laszlo's favorite album, Diamond Mistress by the band Madison. We did a homework assignment thing and he really dogged on it. I gave it to him, but cool album. Penetrator by Ted Nugent, which this one he was going more commercial. It's got Brian Howe on vocals, who of course later went on to be in Bad Company. Holy Water is a great album, but I think this is a pretty cool one, even though, I mean, I'm sure some people, I prefer his 70s, like grittier, raw sound, but that's not bad. The first Black and Blue album, 1984 by Van Halen. Great White's self-titled debut is my favorite album by Great White. But I think that's about all I've got for honorables.
Okay. Chris, and did Rob give honorables? I don't remember.
Yep, he did. Yeah, he had Perfect Strangers from Deep Purple, the Rising Force record from Yngwie, Van Halen's 1984, and Rats Out of the Cellar. So
Cool.
More solid stuff from Rob. I pulled a couple that I wasn't sure if they would make my top 5, so I guess they'll be honorables. I knew you'd be at the top of your list, Pete. I knew you'd have slided in from Whitesnake. Here's the British version. This one's the DVD 25th anniversary version, and this is the 7-disc box set that came out not that long ago.
That's a great set. It's a really.
I still haven't really even scratched the surface.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Of course, everybody mentioned Power Slave. That's a great record. I found 2 copies of this, besides CD copies, but there's slightly different color variations on there, so I have to see if one's a first pressing or not.
Looks like there's a little more side boob viewable on one.
Yeah.
I've got
No,
No, it's the same.
Camera angle,
you might be right. There might be
a little more side boob.
a little more side boob in one.
Yeah,
It's
just a
possible.
little bit.
at least the
I
way
mean,
the
just
lighting.
the lighting and the shading, but
That
you know
could
that
be.
makes the world a difference.
That could be. I don't have I should get the other version where they're just standing there.
I have that one here in the room somewhere.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'll have to go to Rob.
The one where
Fans.
I don't have for sale, but I have it in my collection. The one where they're walking like they're standing on it. And that must have
The safe version.
been due to censorship of some sort.
Oh yeah, that was like the safe Walmart version.
That was the one that Caldor sold. There probably wasn't any Walmart around then.
Yeah, and the one that that nobody mentioned that is a favorite of mine, but I forgot to grab it. Saxon's Crusader record,
Oh,
which
saw that
was
tour.
a really big record for them.
I saw that tour at the Chance of all places,
Nice.
and we stole a poster off the wall, and it's on the
like-
ceiling somewhere.
That's like one of the
somewhere.
only Saxon albums I don't like too.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's,
Okay.
it's kind of too commercial. I don't know. Just
That's all right.
Song's
That's
cool
all right.
as hell.
the song Crusader is cool. Yeah, the title track is cool.
Chris, did you not mention Defenders of the Faith?
Oh, yeah, no, and Defenders of the Faith, which I didn't grab a copy. I do love that record, but or Dio Last in Line. I mean, I didn't, or the Man of War. Well, not so much. Sign of the Hammer is kind of a shitter, but Hail to England is great.
Yeah, Hail to England could be my favorite there.
Yeah.
All right, let me get to Butch's. Where to go? Here we go. Okay. Hang on, everybody. Hang on. I got to scroll and find it. Let's see. All right, here we go. Queensryche, the Warning. Dock and Tooth and Nail. Rat Out of the Cellar. Dio, The Last in Line. Jag, Panzer, Ample Destruction. Metal Church, Self-Titled. Armored Saint, March of the Saint. Loudness, Disillusion. Europe, Wings of Tomorrow. Exciter, Violence and Force.
I was waiting for somebody to mention that.
Well, I had it on mine too.
I know. I just fuck. How do we forget that? I forgot it too.
First. That's all right. At least we got to mention. So, all right. So I don't want to mention stuff that's already been mentioned, and a lot of mine have already been mentioned. So let me go through and see what has not here. We got Celtic Frost. We got Sirit Ungol. He just mentioned Europe, Dawkin, Exciter. I love that Exciter album. Gary Moore, We Want More. Great live album.
Yeah.
Gary Moore. Yeah. Love that. That's got to be on here. All right. Bryce and Sydney's favorite band, Rush, Grace Under Pressure. Steve, I'm shocked you to mention that one.
Yeah, I guess I should have. I've overlooked it.
Yeah. Saint Vitus, Self-Titled.
Yes.
Y&T and Rock We Trust. Steve Vai, Flexible, his first solo album. Thunder 7 by Triumph. A great live album that probably nobody's ever heard. Bernie Torme Live. Bernie Torme, of course, from Gillan's band, and he filled in for Ozzy briefly.
He was in Ozzy's band for a cup of coffee.
Yep. And I had both the Slayer EP and this EP on my list. I didn't pick either one from my main list because I was like, I just decided to leave EPs off. But the Dungeons Are Calling by Sam.
Oh yeah.
Gotta have that. What else? Scorpions, Manila Road. Okay, yeah, everything else has been mentioned. So
the only other one I could say that wasn't mentioned was Gravedigger, Heavy Metal Bro.
I was about to say, Steve, that was off. That should have been on one of your lists, Steve. I was just thinking, man.
And Loudness put out Disillusion that year too, which was a great record too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, we can't cover everyone. If Rich was on, he would have used the never mind.
I'm going over my list though. We mentioned the only things I didn't is another American band, more obscure one from California, but Broke His Helm, Into Battle, the first Agnostic Front album, Victim in Pain, and I'm a big fan of them. I don't know how many else heard, but Black Flag, they did 2 albums that year, My War and Slip It In.
They're classics.
Otherwise, I think we did pretty good.
One more, that's Stone Fury, which is actually Lenny Wolf's first band before he was in Kingdom Come.
Yep.
It's Burns Like a Star. Really like that one. He's got a great voice.
If Rich was on, since he did this live the other day, he mentioned the first Bon Jovi and got booed.
Yeah, it's so good though.
He got booed.
That's what he said.
What if it wasn't? What if it wasn't?
And then you had the other guy that picked his best year of the start of grunge, and Butch was going to punch him.
Oh, Jamie, yeah.
Jamie was just trying to start trouble with Butch.
I think
there's nothing wrong with that. I mentioned him a lot last week, so I guess I'll mention him again. Razor, their first their first EP, Armed and Dangerous.
What are they paying you to keep mentioning?
Nothing really. They're on a low
Razor
budget,
rules, man.
They just pay me in poutine, good Canadian.
They got the brand new
I think it's fucking
album
good.
on the LP and CD in the shop.
I might go pick the LP up for me.
That'd be cool. Well,
Cool.
I'll let you talk. I'll let you talk to me if you come in too.
All right, that's very gracious.
On the house.
On the house.
On the house, free of charge. We don't charge.
I'll even give you a free cup of water.
Wow, you're a great guy. Okay. Nice, clean, fresh Middletown tap water.
That's a bargain.
Out of the cooler.
All right, everybody. There you have it. Our favorite 5 hard rock and metal releases from 1984 and some honorable mentions. So down in the comments below, please do the same. Rank your top 5, give us some honorables, do your top 10, whatever you want to do. Just put something down in the comments below, and stay tuned next week for another episode of the Hudson Valley Squares. And please make sure, if you are in the Hudson Valley, to go check out some of these live shows that Steve is going to be putting on over at Quinn's Pins. Right, you can go bowling, you can have a couple beers, something to eat, and listen to some metal. Right, so can't go wrong, and it's free.
Free.
The bowling's not free, the beer's not free, and the food isn't free. But
But the music is free.
Prices are reasonable.
You could come to
prices are
Rock
reasonable.
Fantasy first. That's very reasonable, especially if you're used to going to New York City. Like going to the arena there to see I saw Ghosts of Macedon. A beer was $17.99.
not good.
I just
And
drink
$60
sober.
to park.
$17.99. I'm just a sober guy. I'm just drinking water.
And I mean, years ago I had season tickets for the Devils. You know, I can imagine if you're an Islander fan, you got season tickets for the Islanders. Every time you go, it's $18 a beer. I mean, they price hockey fans out of it around here. Crazy.
That's why I like venues where you can just go outside and just go to the car and grab a fucking beer. You know, parking lot drinking.
Hey,
Everyone
if
has
it's only
stuff.
$3 a can, I mean, you
Well,
can
that's
probably
different.
afford
But
it.
if that
Yeah.
much,
You don't have to
so
sneak
venues-
outdoors at Quinn's. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
do
Yeah,
it.
that's how- hopefully we
PBRs
get
at
some-
Quinn's. Woohoo!
thank God this is the first time we had a stage in Middletown since the 90s that served alcohol.
Crazy.
We had Sound Asylum for a while. but-
Steven, did you guys build the stage in the same place, just off the bar? There?
No, actually, if you'd been to Quinn's before, the stage was in the actual bar area.
Okay.
They had sold off a lot of their arcade equipment. So when you walked in, there's a pretty good size arcade. The one side of the arcade is still there, and the other side is open. That's where the stage is gonna be. It's
Gotcha,
gonna be
okay.
down there.
Okay, I can picture it now.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
kind of like if you, for local people that are watching, it's kind of like, it kind of got to feel like Sportland USA a little bit.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because Sportland had the arcade. I don't think they had bowling, but they had everything else.
You have any like blueprints or schematics or people like watching from Brazil, you know, so they can see what
No,
you're talking about,
I
you know?
guess
There's
they're
a few-
gonna have to, they'll just have to follow me on Instagram or Facebook or something. And we have the new Rock Fantasy group chat page if people like want to join up and follow what we're doing on Facebook too.
Yeah. Cool. It's a good place to post news about what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
That's good. That's good. Hey, I heard about the new Sodom record coming out. It's kind of like a recording, like some of their greatest
Yeah.
hits from the past, like 14 tracks, something like that.
I heard one song
I
and I
pre-ordered
thought it
that.
sounded good because I'm usually not a fan of when bands do that. And
Yeah.
this is the second time they did it. I liked the first time, and this sounds good too. So good on Tom, man. He keep on doing his thing.
This week, the new Goat Horror comes out, and I think new Lamb of Gods this week too.
Is that this week? Yeah. A lot of new stuff coming out.
Boy, there's one that was a stinker last week. I couldn't get through it. I got to listen to it more possibly, but that new Slipknot, and everybody's ranking on it. When I post it, it's very mellow.
I haven't listened to a Slipknot album.
I know you're not probably no one in this panel actually listens to them still.
When
I
you're
mean,
saying mellow, I mean, I don't know, like
It's-
something like John Denver mellow. What are we talking
I don't know. Pete Morano said it's a heaping pile of something.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
Heaping pile of bleep.
Well, you know, a heaping
Bleep.
pile of something could be like spaghetti. So
True.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
true.
not
Yeah.
spaghetti.
You
It's
say heaping
something-
pile of spaghetti. I'm like, all right, all right.
And that's not too bad.
My little
heaping
bib,
pile
you know,
of- it's more
little
like
fork.
dog poop than spaghetti.
all right, then that's
More dog pooped in spaghetti. All right, totally noted.
Well, you take that heaping pile of spaghetti, take some of Chris's mushrooms that he's been picking from the woods, and you got a nice
Ooh.
meal right there, you know?
Yeah.
Aha.
A little pepper Romano cheese on that.
Chef's
Oh,
kiss, right?
Chef's kiss.
Yes.
There you go. There
Chef's
you
kiss.
go. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All together. All the
All the damn time.
For Steve Keeler, Chris Canzaneri, Ryan Scow, Bryce Barraza, and Chris Allo, I am Pete Pardo. Good night, everybody. See you next week here on the Hudson Valley Squares. Take care.